Welcome to Season 6 of Chat with the Chair. I'm Jennifer Murphy, your CFMA 2025-26 Chair. If you joined us at CFMA's annual conference, you know the energy is still strong. We've heard so many great comments about the venue, the sessions, and yes, that closing party. This year's theme was all about finding our riches, professionally and personally, by discovering, connecting, and thriving. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce the person behind the curtain, the one who makes CFMA's biggest events come to life, our very own Director of Conference and Events, Jenny Spriggs. Jenny, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello.
So Jenny, I think that many people, we go to the conference, it's so exciting, there's so many things to do, from the venue and the setup and the events, that are part of the conference, the networking, the closing night party, the exhibition hall and everything. I don't think that a lot of people realize that there's a formal path for doing what the person does that puts this conference on, or that many people even realize we have someone that's in charge of all of this for CFMA. So do you want to share a little bit with us about your background, your education, your credentials, and how you ended up at CFMA?
Sure. Well, hello, everyone. So I definitely didn't go to school for meeting planning at the beginning. I didn't even know it was a job. My education was in business management. And in the year 2000, I started working for AGC in their finance department. I was in accounting. And as much as I love my numbers, it just wasn't enough stimulation for me. AGC had a position in their meetings department, and I applied for it and I got it. I went to George Washington in DC to take some classes, and they had a meetings and events certification program. So I took those, and I worked for AGC for 7 years as a meeting planner. That's where I got my start. I left AGC when I started having kids. Well, for a couple years, and that's how I ended up with CFMA. I freelanced for a bit, and in 2013, Stuart Benstock, our former CEO, had a connection, and he needed a planner, so he asked if I could do the on-site piece in San Diego as a contractor, and I did, and I absolutely fell in love with CFMA's members. I remember leaving that conference feeling sad that I was a contractor and this was going to be it. There was a big difference between CFMA and AGC's members. I really do love our members. So CFMA, so a year goes, well, not even a year. Stuart brought me back the following year as a contractor, and then made me an employee in 2014. So, and I've been with CFMA ever since. And I absolutely love our members. Our members are very engaging.
Probably because you're an accountant at heart, and we're a bunch of accountants. You can't help but like us. No.
But that's true. And I do love my numbers. But the difference is, I think the biggest difference is that CFMA members are members because they want to be, right? Because this is their passion. It's not because their company is telling them that they are a member. And I think that makes a difference when you have an association that's company based. You're a member by default, right? Where our members are members because they actively searched and they became a member of this association, and they're more engaging. And that's the part that I like, is that they're vested. This is their association and they're vested in it. So, and we just have the most humble yet amazing members.
I would tell you, I've been to, some other conferences, some other construction industry conferences prior to my first,
Mm-hmm.
and my first CFMA conference was prior to you coming. When we were at National, we talked about it. My first was in Hawaii, but I
Mm,
went to it, and even though it was small, 300 people compared to what we just had, over 1,100 paid attendees here in Florida, I
mm-hmm.
believe. And
2,000,
yet,
yeah, total.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yet the education, it was just,
Yes.
I went to that and I was like, I'll never go back to any other conferences. It just wasn't the same. And then I probably was never, I don't know that I went to another one until you were probably with us. So I got to
Oh,
conference out there. And so my next one was probably in 15 or 16. So,
right. That was 15 was Chicago. Yeah.
yep, that was the next one I went to. And then the next year was in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
then Phoenix, and we're getting ready to go right back there in next year.
yeah. So, again, as we talked about, I mean, I have the privilege of, as the chair, and even the past few years, being more involved at a national level to see some of what goes on behind the scenes. But kind of like, let's talk a little bit about conference planning.
Sure.
When do you actually start planning the next one? We just obviously had an amazing conference in Florida, and we had next May 30th, we head back to Phoenix, Arizona. Um, what do you and your team manage? Food, beverage, registration, signage, exhibitors,
Sure.
AV, like what all
Sure.
do you do?
So the planning process, I mean, if you wanted from the ground, from the jump, from the beginning, I do the site selections about 5+ years out. Um, and then the actual planning is about a year and a half out. So we are well into next year's. As a matter of fact, we leave, well, next week we'll be in Phoenix for site visit. And at the site visit, all of our vendors will be there as well. But yes, so our site visits, I will have our amazing production team, Divenev. They have been with CFMA since 2013, and GES is our exhibition and decorator. Um, we work with the two of those teams work very well together, along with
Mhm.
our team. So, um, so yeah, we start about 18 months out. Um, the logistics, this site visit, we will try to nail down I like to look at the space from the attendee footprint, meaning from the time they get to the property, how are they going to get to their room, their meeting space? And once they're at the meeting space, how is it easiest for them to get around? What makes more sense? With the numerous sessions and events we have, I really do try to make sure that the flow makes sense to everyone, but yet you know, it's each room fits at the crowd. It fits the amount of, well, we have enough space for whatever session or events in that room. Um, yeah, so then this signage, getting people again, from the time they leave their room, how are they going to get to their meeting space? So we like to do a lot of signage and branding throughout as much as we can, and the hotels will allow us. We work with a decorator. Um, we work with two decorators actually to make sure all that's done in unison. Um, so yeah, um, the decorating I think is fun. I get to work with our amazing communications department, and Susan Flood and Rachel. They are a great, they're so great with their artwork. So all of it starts with the chair's theme or the conference theme. And I start to work with both our communications department and our production team, and and our decorator to come up with some awesome ideas. And I'm the lucky one. I get to come up with these ideas, and everyone else gets to do them. Or you don't want me to do the artwork, that's not what I'm known for. But when the ideas come together, I get to see them come to life. And again, we have an amazing team at CFMA that puts all this together.
Well, it was really, I mean, this year, obviously, my theme being about finding endless possibilities and
Yep.
finding the coins to fill your pot of gold.
Mhm.
And it was
Yep.
so neat to walk all over the resort, and there were coins on the walkway and coins up the
Yeah.
escalators. And so, that's and 2 years ago, the building bigger and better, and Carol, our past chair, being a heavy highway, and the everything being looking like a road, and the stage being that. And so, is that something? I mean, it's funny. I laugh because as accountants and how our brains work, I don't
Mm-hmm.
tend to be very visual or artsy, black, white, maybe gray stick person. How does that, I mean, for you, is that just something that you always had, or hey, as you
Yeah,
stepped into a different role, this
that's why I
vision?
didn't make a good accountant.
Okay.
I mean, I did, but it's just, it's not enough stimulus for me. So,
Right.
yeah, so I do like it's creativity. And a lot of times, a lot of this comes organically when these site visits happen and we're collaborating with all these vendors to see what we can come to life. And a lot of the times, like for instance, in 24, when the general session room, when we had the highway in the middle of coming off the main stage, um, Carol is heavy highway. So I wanted to give her a nod to her industry. And I had this idea and we had this space, and I half-heartedly said, well, can we make a runway down the middle of the road on like a catwalk? And they were like, absolutely. And so it just took, so then from that, we took it into the exhibition hall and we made the exhibition hall a highway. And as much as I would have loved to done, to do more highways throughout the hotel space, the hotel would not let me. So we did as much as we could. But that's the fun part. And your year, so for yours, we had the new LED wall in the general session room, which opened us up to endless possibilities. See what I just did there?
Yeah.
And so we started, with that. Diventive, our production team, has this amazing graphics department, and we shared our theme and some of the artwork, and they made it come to life. And you can tell you get the experience, which was in heightened for sure this year. But yeah, they get really excited. Our Diventive, our production team, they really get excited when it comes to the graphics and what they're able to do. And they're amazing to work with. But anyway,
No,
um,
that's great. And
yeah,
one thing we keep talking and I know you mentioned the production team, Deventive, and the designers, and obviously the wonderful staff. I mean, you're in
yeah,
charge of the conference, but we have teams at HQ, from
yes,
communications and the artwork and the marketing but I think for you, for a long time it was you. And
yes,
then we had a but now you have, I'll call maybe your partner in crime, correct? That's your right hand, and that also is a CFA employee. And
mhm.
it's kind of the two of you, is it not?
Stacy Bradley and I, and our department. Stacy Bradley is she handles our exhibition. Our exhibition keeps growing. The number of exhibitors and that we have every year just keeps increasing, and we sell out every year. So we have a great show. It's in high demand. But to put, to give that to her is freeing, and it allows me to do more of what I do. Yes, and we recently, well, Heidi Bow is our VP,
Yeah.
and she and Mary have they handle our sponsors now. That's something I used to do too, and that program has expanded, which is amazing to watch it grow and to collaborate with them to see what else we can be doing, what else could we be doing. um, and the sponsorship program has doubled in size in the last year and a half. So, and I think that's great because the money from that goes back into the conference and it enhances everything. But not, on top of that, it's not just about the revenue, it's about connecting our attendees, our members with providers that they need and they want to network with, which makes it just a better conference. So,
Yeah,
and
the
you see that
exhibition.
all throughout the conference. We last year we added the connection zone in the back of the exhibition hall, which I believe, Jennifer, you were one of those people who came to me with this idea, and it was a great hit. We had a lot of first-time attendees and newer CFMA members network in the back of the exhibition hall where all the where all the exhibitors and the but it was so engaging. So, the good thing is that everybody wants to come, but a bad thing, there's only, so
Right.
much room for these exhibitors. But yeah, it's about creating these networking events and experiences that our attendees and our members want. They want to meet with these people. So
Yeah, our
yeah,
exhibition hall is amazing. As I said,
it
I'm
is.
going to other conferences and I've gone to some. I mean, in my role, I get to attend some other conferences and I will think of our exhibition hall and one, the energy, the fact that we sell it every year and we have a waiting list. Obviously, they wouldn't be coming if they weren't feeling the same back. And I know for me as a general member and knowing things our company's facing, to know that I can go someplace and walk around and meet multiple people that might be able to help solve my problems, and have one-on-one talks and demos and not be getting phone calls I'm trying to answer at the
Mhm.
office when you're busy, because I'm there and I'm dedicated to that. It's always, and there's just such an energy in that exhibition hall.
There is.
And so that's so exciting. Um, we talked a little bit about like bringing that theme to life, but
Mhm.
obviously, a little bit you talked as a space, a budget, other vendors. I mean, do you find that every year it gets a little bit better as far as all the collaboration and you can be more creative? Do you find as this
It,
team has been building that?
yes, it does. And I feel like every year I do like to think outside the box and see what we aren't doing, right?
Mhm.
There's a balance we have to keep. We do work, very closely with the conference program committee. And so there's that balance where we have to make sure that we're offering enough, CPE for our attendees, but mix in the fun and the networking to make people want to be there. And so every year it gets a little bit better. It gets a little, now definitely because I have, there's more help because we keep growing. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I can put my focus on new experiences for our members and you know, dare I say, actually sit in a couple of these sessions that are just amazing. So we have some great speakers. And with that, our CPC does an amazing job making sure that it's not only the speakers, but the topics are relevant and what people want and need. Uh, they want the education that they need, that they're getting. Um, and our exhibitor, I mean, our speaker ratings are just always
Right.
superb. So they're doing an amazing job and everybody keeps coming. So it's a lot of work for them. It's a lot of work for them. And that committee is awesome to work with. But
I
yes,
would agree.
yeah,
Being a past member of CPC, I know they're an awesome
I
committee,
know.
but I think that one thing probably maybe some others don't realize is as much as the conference program committee is working so hard to put together great content and great speakers and make sure it's relevant and that we are all getting, us attendees are getting our value and our, the CPEs we need, but in relevant topics and things that are impacting us every day in our jobs. I think a lot of people probably don't realize that you are sitting early on with the CPC working on the grid and what they're thinking, what classes, and we have an idea of what attendees will be, what classes are going to draw more, what sessions are going to draw more.
Mhm.
And you actually then, before that grid and before that CPC can finalize things, you're making sure you, back to the flow, are figuring out what rooms will hold what sessions to make sure we can make it all work, correct?
Right. So, um, you know, if you're an 80s or 90s kid, you've played Tetris, and that's pretty much what it's like. You got to make sure that every session is in the appropriate room, right? So that it's not just that session, it's the sessions before and after. Is, it's you've placed them correctly, so you don't want to you don't want to have two competing sessions necessarily at the same time. But then again, like last year, we had some challenges on too many people in the same area, and how do we get them when they leave a room or at the same time? There's a lot of bottlenecking, so there's a lot that goes into that, and but yeah, so when we set the grid, that's something we have to make sure that you got to think, is 15 minutes or 10 minutes in between these long enough? Where they had indexed? If it's not enough, then how do we expand those breaks that everybody wants me to do with, and
Right.
not lose any CPE time, right? So it can be challenging, but it's again, if you'd like to play Tetris, this is
I noticed this year. We split the food up a little bit to try and
yes.
flow people to different areas, and
Mhm.
because we didn't have a big area for seating and eating, using some unoccupied rooms at times, especially on the weekend, and just
Mhm.
having the ability to get food in some different areas to make that flow
Yep.
go a little better. So obviously, every single year, I know I watch you run around. The unexpected happens,
Mm-hmm.
or you get unexpected requests that.
Very. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask what the most unique unexpected request was that was something that wasn't out of
On site or beforehand? It's just um so this past year it wasn't my request, but we did have a, a vendor, a sponsor who had an event, and they wanted a mule, which was awesome. It fit their theme, and if it weren't for the rain, it would have been an amazing. It would have even been better. But it was very cute. But I've not ever had um, livestock at a conference, at a hotel. Now, when we were in San Antonio, the closing night party was at a ranch, so obviously they had, it was a working ranch, so there was cattle, but it was all in, we had a longhorn, but that was to be expected. So that this year was it. That was the first that I've had that in 20 plus years of planning. Um, and I
But you
think,
made it happen.
you know what, and it was a memorable, that planner took a risk, and I think it paid off because it's memorable and people will be talking about it. And it was a, it was cool. It was something extra, right? That people weren't thinking of, but no one will forget. So,
Right.
and it fit their theme so well. So, but it is something different. Um, but yeah, that was a first. That this year was a first for that. But
And I
yeah,
think oh, sorry, didn't
no,
I?
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say the other thing I think most of us that have attended look forward to and always is the closing night party.
Yes.
And I mean, so I've been lucky enough to be, when we were in Chicago, it was at Navy Pier.
Yeah.
When we were in San Antonio, it was at a working ranch, and they had barrel
Ranch. Yes.
racing and they had
Mm-hmm.
the Longhorns. And this year we went off site to Universal City
Mm-hmm.
Walk.
Mm-hmm.
We've done others where you turned the general ballroom into a beer garden,
Yeah.
so we went to Atlanta to the aquarium, and
Mm-hmm.
so there's been some. Is that also? I mean, is that you? You are the one as you're walking the
Mhm.
space and researching the city, you're figuring out what the
Yes.
closing night party can be?
Yes, I do. So it just depends on where we are and what city we're in and what the venue can host. And it's when you go through the conference evaluations, a lot of people like it offsite, and most people want it on site. It just depends on who you ask. So the way I look at it is it doesn't matter to me if it's on site or off site. It's the experience and what people are gonna, it's good. I want it fun. And so every year I feel like there's, I'm in competition with myself from the year before on how we're gonna top it. But at the end of the day, there's no competition because it's a different city every time. So it's a different event every time. So but yeah, I do, that's one of the things I'll be looking at next week on, how are we going to, where and how, what are we going to do for the closing night party?
They are
So
memorable. They're
they
they're
are,
always memorable. I mean, I San Antonio's. I mean, and you think of the bands, you had Ken Chickatello with a cowbell and the
yes,
80s band, and 2 years ago we had the Glass Cactus with that same 80s band.
we
I
did.
remember sitting in Miami and self watching the Cuban band, and there you couldn't move on that dance floor. And I tend to see you get a bunch of us accountants out, and we have some music and libations, and that dance floor is
It's
always
it's
packed
always
and
used. Yep,
crazy. So
it is.
anyway,
It is. Yes, we have fun accountants. They're not. Yes, we do. We have a fun group.
so what are some? I mean, I obviously know it's very, very stressful. I've seen you when you're pulling it all together and stuff's going.
Mhm.
But are there anything that are red flags, specific risk and stress for you beyond just the general stress of trying to, what I would say herd 2,000 people and have it go off well?
So, things are going to happen, and it doesn't matter how well you plan, something's going to happen. So you just have to, and they do. We have things that happen that, our attendees don't ever, that are unplanned. We can't, that we, through no fault of our own, it happens. And so, you just have to, I'm pretty good at having things bounce off me. So, I'm in the mainframe of, or the mindset of, this has happened, let's fix it and let's just keep moving. There's no time to dwell because it is so fast paced. Um, every year, we do at the end of every conference, we our lessons learned on how we can improve, or how, whatever those issues were, how can we avoid them next year? What can we do better? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how, again, how much you plan, something will happen. And this year, the biggest thing was the shipping. And it's nothing we could have done, but we we shipped accordingly and how we were supposed to, and followed the rules, and half of the stuff, let's just say, didn't make it. But it's pivoting and figuring out how to fix those problems. And we had a team. And if you were in the staff office the Thursday before conference, you would have seen all the buzz around you of us trying to track everything down and get it. But things happen, and we have a
Yep.
great team that's able to jump in and help us out. And even our officers will do it. You guys are the I,
Wow.
I our chairs, our past chairs, they're the best. They
Yeah.
they will, if I ask them to do something, which I never do, but if I did, they're there. And even when I tell them no, they're still there. They're still in there stuffing bags and moving boxes. And even if we tell them no, they're still there. You best officers.
I think that you hit on it early on is I've always said I get much more out of CFMA than I give to it, and the
Hmm.
energy and the friends, and I think the staff and us
Hmm.
members, we realize we're one big team to make this organization successful. And so
Yes.
that week, anyone that's there and watches the team and the hours you guys put in from before sunup and before all of us attendees are there till long into the night and getting ready for the next day, it really is, appreciated. And then I think what maybe a lot don't know, and those of us, you don't just do the national conference. You
Yep.
do the executive meetings, the officer retreats, the AGC CFMA conference that's coming up in November,
Mhm.
and other things. So, I mean, and you're already how deep into Phoenix, as you just talked about in 26, and probably
Yeah,
starting to look at some things for Nashville in 27.
we are. So one thing you have to remember is, like let's take our exhibition floor for 26. It is a little bit smaller, so we are trying to get as much out of that exhibition hall as we can. But knowing when we go to Nashville, it's going to be more spacious. So that's something we keep in mind. So, you know, it's not, you don't go from large to, it's, 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 uh, it's just something you have to keep in mind when you can add, or if you have to reduce the size of things, how we can best fit it. But yes, we're working on We're starting to work on Nashville, and we're knee deep into Phoenix. When I say
So
we, I say you touched on, I just wanted to touch back on this when you were talking about the CFMA staff. We do have the best staff outside of the meetings department. CFMA staff that travels with us, they're phenomenal. They are outside of their normal work, and we have some real go-getters. I'm a very lucky planner to work with our CFMA staff.
I would agree that
Mhm.
we have some great people that will help in any way. I mean, as an officer, I obviously might touch them much more than some other members do, but I mean, any request or need I have or question, I mean, I'd never get anyone that's not willing to try and help, figure it
Amazing.
out.
Yeah.
So, and so we talk about you're managing multiple events simultaneously. Let's
Yep.
talk about real life. What do you do outside of work for fun?
I have three kids, and they are my world. I have a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 10-year-old. So uh, every Friday we have Friday Family Fun Night, and that's every Friday. And we can do fun, like we went to medieval times a couple weekends ago, and then this past Friday we stayed home and we played Clue and Block Us. And that's our new family game.
Okay.
Courtesy of a CFMA staff member when I was telling her about this. But yeah, so, and we travel a lot, a lot. We did a couple of Disney trips last year, and this year we will be going to the Outer Banks, and I'm not sure we're going to do something in the in the winter. Um, I as much as I planned for CFMA, our vacations are planned just like 2 months in advance. It's too
Yeah.
far out for me.
Well, I know you're a Washington Commanders fan and used to be a season ticket holder,
Mhm.
but any other sports
So
passions
it's
or
it's you're a Chiefs fan, right? Or no?
no, I'm a Lions
No,
fan, but I'm
you're a
I'm
Lions
going to
fan,
I'm
but
going to the
you're
Chiefs
going,
game
yeah,
courtesy of my buddy Bryce. So
yeah, that's right, Bryce. That's right. My dad was a Chiefs fan, and my family's from the Midwest, so they are from Missouri. So definitely Chiefs is a close second. Um, my kids, it's funny. I grew up playing volleyball and was a cheerleader for a little bit, but volleyball was life. And none of my kids want to play volleyball. None of them. Doesn't matter. Volleyball was my sport. My older sister's sport as well, and none of my kids. But my youngest plays softball. My oldest was a dancer, but she's very into theater.
okay.
Um, my son is uh, he used to do karate, but he goes to the gym every day. He doesn't like teams. So, but yeah, so a lot of times with my kids. Mhm.
Well, I appreciate you sharing kind of the full scope of what you do. I thought we come out of the conference every year and people are so excited and I hear such feedback about how great it was and how exciting, and I just want to make sure so many people besides the few of us maybe that know what all goes behind it, and how much creativity, strategy, and dedication you bring to this, and how lucky we are to have you. I have a ton of fun working with you. I know I always text them like, don't shoot me. I still love you. No. um, so, for those of us that are listening, if you've ever walked into a CFMA event, thought, wow, now the person, is it the man, the mystery behind all of it? No, the woman, the mystery behind it all. So Thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thank you.
all right. And thank you
See
all for watching
everybody in
episode
Phoenix. Yeah, let's see
56.
everybody in
Yeah,
Phoenix.
Chat with the Chair of Phoenix, May
Mhm.
30th to June 3rd, 2026. And
Yeah.
watch out for emails. You can actually sign up now to get notified when registration
Yes.
opens so you don't miss it. And so if you see those emails, make sure you sign up now so you're kept in the loop when everything opens up. Thanks again, Jenny.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. See you.
Bye.
Bye.